This is Angela R. Sasser, illustrator, gamer, and enemy of pollen everywhere. Oh my goodness. There's so much pollen in Georgia right now. You guys, please save me. So welcome. It's the studio hangout time of the month. Where did this month go? It just flew away. I'm just amazed at how fast April has gone, honestly. So, for those who are new, hi, I'm Angela. I'm an artist. This is how I like to keep up with everyone and make sure that y'all are doing okay and let you know how I'm doing. I treat this like a meeting with old friends. So, I'm going to talk about how my month's been going, show y'all new art that was created this month, talk about any important announcements, and just yak about art. At the end of that, I'll be doing a little AMA section where I choose 3 questions to answer that I've gotten from the crowd. So if you have a question about anything, not just art, feel free to throw it in the chat or in my Discord server, or on Patreon, and I will answer your questions during the Ask Me Anything segment. And that, within reason, some questions might be inappropriate, but I'm not too worried about that. So yeah, patrons will get priority in the question queue. So with that out of the way, let's see what we got in store. Oh yes. Artists are hug your nearby artists because we're not doing too hot right now. It's been another month of uncertainty and stress in the artist world for a lot of folks I know, because with all these tariffs happening right now, regardless of where you fall and why or where we're doing them, they're hurting small businesses something fierce. You can't plan anything. Like, I was thinking to myself, this year I will launch the coloring books that I've been wanting to launch for a while, because now that we're settled a bit, I can actually store some here and get the art together. But now I'm not so sure. Like, I've only just now figured out that coloring books wouldn't be held because they're excluded from the tariffs, but we didn't know that last week. But now we do know that they are excluded, but that also might change in a couple of days. So the unpredictability of the market's really, really hitting folks hard right now. And for a lot of artists like me who work with clients in the gaming industry, like tabletop gaming, or want to work in that industry, which is also me, it's really hard for our clients right now too, because they can't get new product in without paying high tariffs on that. So they're more hesitant to hire artists because their budgets have a lot of uncertainty right now. So I just wanted to talk about that just a little bit, even though it's a big bummer, because people should know how it's infecting real world people around them. Like, if you support artists, artists are having it rough right now. They already had it rough, but now a lot of our clients are just not able to hire us. So it's hitting this market hard. But, the quest continues for trying to, you just got to keep it moving, and that's what I'm trying to do. And that's also been a challenge this month, because I've had a lot of convention rejections. Like, unfortunately, I won't be seeing you guys at Dragon Con because I didn't make it in. Now, this isn't the first time it happened, but it's been 5 years since I've tried, because I've kind of been out of cons for health reasons. But now that I've tried to get back in, I was really hoping I could make that my return con. But it didn't happen. But that's okay. There is one convention I did manage to make it in. And I will announce that once things are more solidified. But I will at least be at one show this year, and I'll talk more about that when I can. So it's been interesting to me because usually it's not been a problem for me to get into shows, but I've been rejected from nearly all of the ones I've applied to, and it's not a reflection on the quality of my work, because not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm pretty good. It's more that because online marketplaces are so crowded with competition from people flooding the markets with like AI generated art and just a lot of slop, it's made the marketplaces harder to be seen in. So we're all clamoring to get into these in-person shows because a lot of those shows do not allow AI slop. So we actually, you're going there to see real artists. And so we're all fighting for those spaces where we can actually be seen. And so the competition has gone up, 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 up. The opportunities have shrank. Competition goes up. That's kind of the nature of the market right now, is all of that happening at once. And it kind of sucks. But it is what it is, and I'm going to keep trying. On the upside of things, I've got my portfolio all prettied up, and I've submitted to Wizards of the Coast, and I'm also submitted to Fantasy Flight Games. So I'm going to keep aiming high for those big clients and hoping that people notice my art and I can finally start doing more of this art that I'm super passionate about, because I did the Birthstone Goddesses that y'all probably know me for my own property. Like, that's something I own, that I'm passionate about, that I control. And now that that's out in the world, I am expanding into doing art that my little geek heart just loves. So I really hope I can be noticed. And if not, I've got my own projects I can keep busy with. So keep it moving, trying to keep it moving. And that leads me to the other big thing that happened this month, and that is commissions launch. So for years, friends have been saying, Angela, you're a big geek. Why don't you also draw everybody else's original characters and tabletop characters? And I've done that just privately, but now I officially got my act together and did a price sheet. That was my big project. So let me switch to the screen share view, and we can get into sharing the art and the commission samples I worked on, because I'm super proud of them. It was finally indulging all that geek stuff I love. So let me switch magic. So turn this off for now. Yay, commission launch. Here it is. So first of all, my husband gave me permission to draw his Soul Knife Rogue Artorias, and I'll show him off first, because he was my experimental subject here to try out new techniques and to figure out, well, what kind of art do I want to make for tabletop games? And it came down to me wanting to show that I love line work, but I also love painterly work, and I wanted to find a way to combine my love of expressive line work with painterliness, and I think I found somewhere in the middle that I really liked. This was all painted in Procreate, and Artorias was a great test subject for this, because rogues have all this cool equipment, right? Like they've got knives, they've got the leather bit, the leather gloves. He's a noble from a trade empire. He recently exiled his parents so he could take over. So he was a great test subject for this. So that's Artorias. But my poor husband has really bad dice rolls, so as cool as Artie is, he hasn't quite gotten a shine in our game yet, because every time he tries to do something suave, he's like, dice fail. Even with the Soul Knife ability to add more successes, he keeps failing. He's unlocked some locks, but every time he's trying to do, like, convincing, like, he's trying to convince a merchant to let him into the black market group, and he's just like, fail. You're actually more shady now because you failed at trying to convince someone. So, anyways, let me show y'all a little bit how this was made. Extra large icons because I am blind. Here's some of the sketch work for this, the early sketch work, and the original avatar art I did of Artie. I actually really still love this original version of him. Like, I don't think I was able to capture that cool feathered anime hair of his that he had in his first portrait, but I did capture the smarminess in the next portrait, so that's a little bit of the early look at this piece. It did involve quite a lot of research. You can see a little video. This is pose work, which was thanks to the wonderful resources of the Pose Archives. They're a couple who put out really amazing stock photos where they show the pose with the male model, and then they show the pose again with the female model. And it's just super helpful, so I highly recommend them. They offer free resources and then paid resources, so there's something to fit every budget and every need. They do a lot of like great poses for stock characters, for adventurers. So I do recommend them if you're drawing your own characters and want some good pose ideas. And here's the quick, hours long shoved into 1 minute. I really wish I worked this fast. You can see how Artorias came together in Procreate. And that was a lot of fun. I loved getting stuck in that painting process and just enjoying coming up with his look. Because he hasn't had any previous design yet, so this was my playground for designing a rogue. So, and on that note, I've actually written a very in-depth article concerning this whole process, where I show, like, here are my references, I got my reference collage, I talk about how and why I gathered the references I did and what I chose to take from them, my philosophy of style, like why did I choose what I did, all of that's in part 1 of a secret sketchbook post that people at any paid tier on my Patreon can read. So if you really want to get into that deep dive and see how this piece was made, definitely check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Angela Sasser. Every little bit of support helps. And you can also, if you don't want to subscribe, because I know that monthly fee can be a pain in the butt, you can just buy it one-off for like $3. You can see that article. So check that out if you're interested in drawing your own characters and want to see how an artist put together their references. And I share, like, where did I find my references and what helped me. So I like to keep that as a resource for people. And let's see. The commission launch also includes a giveaway. So if you like that character art and you want to win a portrait in this flat style, I'm giving away 2 slots. One for the full body and one for the headshot. This is only on Blue Sky. So go check out my Blue Sky. It's just my same old username everywhere, which is Angela Sasser Art. And on May 6th, I'll be picking 2 winners, one to get a headshot and one to get the full body. So I'll link that in the description of the recording of this video too, so y'all can find it. But Also on May 6th is when these commission slots that weren't claimed by my Patreon patrons and newsletter subscribers can, like any that they didn't claim will be open to the public. So that is the day of the giveaway and the day of the grand opening of any slots that are left. So claim your slots if you're a Patreon patron or a newsletter subscriber. The slots are limited because I'm trying also to keep time free for my own personal projects. So this is sort of my side gig to help get that monies, to help with how rough it is right now. So next we have, oh wait, I also have to talk about the webpage. Pay no attention to all my Streamlabs research because it decided it needed to update an app in the middle of me trying to prepare for this stream. So, in addition to all of this information and the price sheet that you see, never mind that half of the sheet is just my Exalted character because I've drawn her a lot. She's my happy place. I just love drawing her. But I managed to show other samples too, because it's not just these character portraits, but also there's little chibis. So if you don't have the budget for a full body portrait, because I know things are tight for everyone right now, you can get a little headshot or a little chibi. Things that are less detailed and intense will cost less. And then I have a pretty in-depth fact page that I made because I like to make this easy on everybody. So you can see my commission queue, you can find my contact information, and it has every step of the process here for how do you commission a portrait. I like to keep it, I like to define everything ahead of time because I think that just helps everyone out to set expectations from the beginning. And then there are other questions here, like can you use it for your stream, your podcast, etc. Yeah, so all the information you could ever need is here in the FAQ, which I will update with any other questions people sent. So hey, if you are one of my buddies who's been after me for years to draw your D&D character, it is here, finally. For your pleasure, please do pay me for art. I would love that. And I'd finally get to draw geeky things, which I've been so looking forward to. So help give me samples for my portfolio. I'd really appreciate that. So yeah, enough about commissions. The next bit of art that's happening this month. I haven't been as prolific because I've been trying to get that fact page done, and it looks easy, but let me tell you, trying to think of all the situations for facts is difficult. So the next piece of art, this is a work in progress, it is not finished. The next piece of art is for the Exalted Character of the Month challenge, and what this is that every month in the Forge of Wonders Exalted server for fans, we like to get together and do fan art or fan fiction for one featured character chosen from the community. And anyone who participates can then have their character featured if they're chosen in our dice roll. So this month, the amazing character called, let's see if I can remember, Forsaken Bride of Crimson Vows. I think I got her full name right. Forsaken Bride of Crimson Vows, or Bride for short, who belongs to Toxin Fox. She has this amazing vampire pirate, and it's just like the coolest thing ever. Look at this awesome bird she has too. I've been waiting for this character to come up in the queue for a really long time. Oh, Toxin Fox also has a comic with this character in it, which you guys have to check out at a regular circle on Tumblr. I'm going to link all this in the description of this video and in the article that I'm going to like gather all the resources in at the end. So if you want to read more and see her in action, because she's amazing, y'all need to check that out. So the picture I'm going with is like sort of a fighting game screen versus Bride versus Kalara, who's my character on the left. Because me and Toxin Fox were like, we gotta have these two meet somehow. I have finally gotten my chance. They're both Eclipse cast types, so kind of like diplomats. But I have a feeling there wouldn't be too much diplomacy going on between these two. I think there'd be a fight. A really fun fight. So for the character on the left, that's going to be this gal here. That's my gal, Kalara. So place your bets. Who's going to win this hoedown? I think it's going to be Bride. I have faith in my girl, but Bride is just so cool. She wins in the hat department at the very least. So you place your bets. Who's going to win? Solar versus Abyssal. Who wins in the clothing department? Of course, I can't really see much now while everyone's so sketchy. Who wins in the vibe department? Y'all let me know in the comments. The only downside to this art is that I have until Sunday, like a few more days, I have till this weekend to get this into the semblance of some kind of shape. We'll see if I can do it. Wish me luck. I'm gonna need it to finish this in time, or I might just submit it as line art, but I want to try and finish it. We'll see if I can make that happen. Ugh, that's my fault for waiting till the last minute, because procrastination is a superpower. It's one of my superpowers, yeah. So that's really all the art I have to share. Like I said, not a super prolific month because I've been busy trying to prepare for the commission launch, and that was a lot of invisible work in the background of that. So that means the next thing on the agenda is the Ask Me Anything segment, which I love to do because you guys always ask some fun questions. And for this segment, it's 3 questions. The first question is from Shar, and this is quite relevant with everything happening right now. She asks, what support systems do you have in place for your art career? Part-time job, spouse, etc.? And I think this is such an important question to ask because it's important to acknowledge the privilege you have and to think about that, because a lot of artists don't ever go into the profession because they just can't afford to live at the same time they're pursuing a freelance profession where your money is quite erratic. So for me personally, I went to college and I had a scholarship, I had parents helping me, and I also had student loans. So for me, I actually had less debt because of scholarships, but also my parents helped me out, and they also helped me pay down my loans. So I'm definitely privileged in that way that I had a lot of help along the way. And we're also part of, we're a dual income household, which made this layoff this past year, where my husband got laid off in IT, really, really challenging for us. And the only way we really survived him not working for a year, because he had such a terrible time trying to find a job in IT right now, was the fact that we had 401ks and IRAs that we had put money into previously. So we saved and saved, but that got us through this really tough year, along with, again, family helping. So support systems, very important. Right now, I bring in what income I can from my Etsy shop and Patreon and hopefully soon commissions, because we share a car, so I have to work remotely. So that is a challenge. And meanwhile, my husband has a more traditional job. So it's tough, but we make it work. And honestly, saving ahead as much as you can is really what you got to do when you're working a freelance kind of job. Get that IRA going, because there's so many benefits to having one if you can get it. And it's tax deductible, so get one if you can. Do you recommend? The next question is from Lindoin, who asks, is there an art form you want to try and just haven't gotten around to it? Oh boy, are there so many art forms. I need a new art form like a hole in the head. I want to try 3D modeling because I think it would be really cool to do maquettes of my characters so I can have them to look at various angles. Let's see, I'm going to we'll put this back up on the screen. I would like to try sculpting in wood as well, like figural sculpting. And I also want to try toy alters. That's where you take a toy and alter it to look like other characters. So you guys see this guy? He's the main character of a would-be novel I've been working on for far too long. I made a pop figure of him. This is one of my first attempts at toy alters. And it's one of the pop figures that it's like just to make your own pop figure sets that you can get, and you add polymer clay on and you can bake it to set, and then you paint with acrylics on top. So I've experimented a little with toy alters, but that's just as far as I've gotten. There's just not enough hours in the day to try all these fun art forms, but for me, being able to build maquettes in any kind of medium would be really, really helpful, and I want to do it. So eventually I'm going to have to learn some Blender. I'd also really like to learn animation so I can put together some animatics, because I think as someone who also likes to write, I could write about these characters and also share the art side of things. Of course, that means writing and drawing everything, going kind of crazy, but it would be really fun, even if it takes me years. So, story of my life. So, animation and woodworking, sculpting, that kind of thing. Next is the last question. What profession did your multiverse self go into? I added this one myself because I thought it'd be fun to talk about, rather than bumming everyone out with every artist is considering a different profession right now. I just wanted to talk about things I thought were really interesting professions that I almost went into. That would be geology, volcanology. I love volcanoes. I think they're absolutely fascinating. Crystal formations are fascinating. The way the earth moves and forms and all of that, very interesting to me. I used to love going to the science museums and just getting my hands dirty learning how things work. So that, especially with geology. So that's high on the list. Same for meteorology. I conceive myself having become a storm chaser in a previous life or in multiverse. In an alternate universe, there is a weather lady, Angela, which I think would be pretty cool. And physicists, same kind of related science of just learning how things work. And shout out to my roommate, who was a physics major in college, because she would show me her homework of like page-long formulas. And I'd be like, girl, what does this mean? And she would sit there and explain it to me that the numbers correlate to physical interactions in the world, and I just found that endlessly fascinating. We would sit there and discuss everything, and in another multiverse, I went into that because of her. So, yeah, you guys tell me, what would your multiverse self have gone into? Have you ever thought about that? Like, in another life, what would have tempted you? I would say writer, but I am also a writer even if I write less. But there is another multiverse where I actually followed more of the novelist in me than I did the artist. And maybe I have the book done by then. Go multiverse me. I hope I can channel that alternate universe self to actually get some writing done and finish something. That is one of my big goals for the next year. Get this novel in my head out. So, couple of wrap-up updates here. So for stream updates, you guys have seen my game night streams. I've gotten all the way up to part 5 of Banishers. So if you have been enjoying that, just know that all the recordings are up on my YouTube channel, so you can go and watch me play Banishers and talk about why I love that game so much. And if you haven't heard of it, you can go watch a really interesting dark fantasy game about ghost hunters who are dealing with a cursed town. It's really underrated and deserves more attention. So I have 5 parts up on my YouTube channel of that right now, and do recommend. But now that it's the 24th, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 has just launched today. I gotta play it. I love Banishers to bits, but we're switching to Claire Obscure, and I'm actually gonna play it tonight, even though I don't usually have a studio hangout and a game night on the same day. But it's such a beautiful game, I can't resist playing it. I have to play it as soon as I can. It's taking willpower not to run and go play it now, because I'm saving that for 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. So come back in a few hours to this channel and watch a beautiful French art house style kind of game. It's from a small team, and the pitch for it is that it's in a fantasy world where every year this eldritch being called the Paintress paints a number, and everyone of that age disappears. And the world has been fractured, like that everything's warped, and the people who live there just live in the remnants of this fractured world. And every year people send an expedition of people out to try and defeat this paintress so she won't paint the next number, which every year the number goes down and takes out more people with it. So super fascinating. The art for it looks beautiful, and I can't wait. So join me later. I would love to share that with more people. So what's next for May? Well, May 6th, the commission queue will open. If there are any slots left, everyone is eligible to pick them. Go to Blue Sky and get in on that post that has the giveaway. You need to RT it and follow me and comment with your character reference so you can be eligible. I'm also hoping to return to the Castile Servant cover I was working on, because I wanted to launch these commissions just to have that out there working for me. And now it's going to be back to the regular schedule program of going through my writing classes, teaching myself acrylics, and getting that book cover done for my book cover portfolio. So I'm going to do all that, or work on as much as I can, and also keep on submitting my portfolio to these game companies, even though I know they're all having a very rough time. So if you know any game companies you think my art would be a good fit, let me know so I can drop them a little portfolio. It would help me out. And I think that's everything I had to talk about today. So thanks for anyone who peeks this. Appreciate you. If you love my art, please do go enjoy it at angelasaster.com. And if you really love it, go check out my Patreon, where you can get little sneak peeks of works in progress, votes and polls, and other secret sketchbook stuff where you get to get a deep dive into the process. I also have coloring pages and preview tutorials on there, and every little bit helps an artist out. I'm also on Ko-fi, so you guys can go support there too. But for now, I'm going to go and draw on Bride get this really awesome vampire pirate going, so I can hopefully show that by next month. So for next month's studio hangout, I'll have that finished piece to show you, even though I'm technically going to finish it by the end of April instead. But that's okay. Yeah, I'm sure y'all don't mind. Anyways, this was a very long goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll catch you for game night tonight. Show up for Claire Obscure or for the next studio hangout, which is the last Thursday of every month. So, wishing you all inspiration.